Okay. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. Uh, can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we're going to start. I want to thank you first of all, you guys, for amazing amount of reviews and merge pull requests during this week. Thank you for all your hard work. So let's start with the issues triage that we did last week. As I can see, Nitish and Dan were on triaging. Do you have something? Okay, I can see one issue.
Yeah, but we should assign the next people before we look at the issue.
Okay, no problem. So for next week, any volunteers for primary and secondary? Okay, fine.
I can take primary.
Thank you. Okay. I first. Okay.
Yeah, I can do secondary as well. I can do that here.
Thank you. Okay. So let's review the triage issues. Uh,
So the only issue, so I added here, I didn't have a specific issue to bring up for discussion, but we've been going through, you, Pasha, me, Reggie, we've been going through and labeling issues aggressively with the different components that are impacted. And so this link that I have here is just a link to the application set component. And I found that this is incredibly helpful. This is already helping me a ton because when I'm doing issue triage, oftentimes I'll run into issues where I think like, oh, isn't there an issue like this that I saw like last week or 2 weeks ago? And then finding that issue is always difficult. And because we're now going through and labeling pretty aggressively, I'm able to just click on like app set and be able to just see all of the issues related to that. And it makes it a lot easier for me to go through and navigate and find like, oh, okay, like for example, on here, somebody was asking for help, 4 months ago on how to um, do better testing of application sets. Well, we just merged that feature in 2.13, right? So that's coming out. So I was able to like go through and find those and be like, oh, hey, we actually have something for that. Here you go. So I would just encourage anybody doing triage or looking at issues, like those component labels are really useful now. So be sure to use those because it helped me quite a bit this week.
Yeah, thank you for intro. Then we actually have dedicated topic for it. So Reggie will introduce what we did, what we're doing, and we can discuss it in details. Okay. Nitish, anything from your side? Yeah, I can see you here. Anything for triaging this week? Okay, fine. Let's move forward then. So I'm opening first issue. Deprecate Argo CD notifications dockside. Who was the reporter? Guys, when you're reporting the issue, please put your name. Yeah, it would be easier to track with reporting. Uh, okay, never mind. Probably this person not here. So it's long running topic. We internally discussed it already multiple times about this deprecation. So the thing here, I totally agree that it makes sense. We need to do something with it, but the problem that we have permissions issue right now, and we cannot find the owner of this Argo CD notifications. It's prevent us to close it completely. So we actually have the open, long running open topic. And yeah, Michael, can you add something on it? Maybe you had some progress with this. I know that you participated in this a lot.
Yeah, I don't know who has access to the Read the Docs account that can maintain the notifications docs, We could unarchive the repo and like add a big banner or something to the top to at least warn people away, but we won't be able to like change read the docs settings. I think that probably possibly either Jesse or Alex might have access. So Christian or Blake, if you can ping them and see if either of them has access to read the docs for notifications, that would be helpful.
It's really annoying. I also very annoyed about it because every time when you looking for something, it's always opening notifications first. And here is outdated information all the time.
Yeah. And the other thing I can do is if someone has time to like make changes to the notifications repo to change how the docs look or add a warning or something to the top, I have the ability to unarchive and provide whatever access is needed to that repo in order to get those commits pushed. So just if someone has time to take that up, just let me know and I can help get access.
Mhm. Yeah. I also will try one more time to reach the Alex and see if he can help here. Yeah, okay, let's move forward then. Um, okay. Ryan, I think it was reported by you.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up. We've been trying to reduce some of the resource consumption and make our application set controller a little bit faster and more resilient. And we have hundreds of app sets now. And the only way to change the default requeue time is to go to each one and have somebody set the parameter to a different requeue. And this PR is to have a more global setting. Not a huge priority PR, but I just wanted to bring it up and see if I could get some review or comments on it.
Yeah, sure. I will try to help you with it.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move forward. Paul?
Yes. So I did some investigation because I found that as shown in the PR, I was having some tags that were pinning to certain commits, and so for some reason Argo CD was then not following those commits and following different commits whenever a new tag was pushed. So I went down the rabbit hole on this, and it turns out that the way Git semver resolution is handled, if you pass it a valid version, it still looks at that as if it was a constraint and then applies the constraints of that version and then resolves to a later tag, which was a little bit of a foot gun. So I was investigating how exactly the Helm provider handles the same issue because the Helm semver resolution uses mostly the same logic. Some of the comments specified here are related to annotated tags rather than the semver issue I was discussing. If you open up the linked PR that I've opened about it, you can see there are a couple of tests going down into the meat of the issue.
Is it hard to reproduce or we just set up the version and that's
Yeah,
it?
you can. I've reproduced an example app, and you can see that. Yeah, all you need to do is have two different tags that follow the pattern that I've used. So if the first item in your tag is a number, the semver library looks at it and goes, "Cool, that is a major version number," and then everything else is just like the beta version number. And so then it looks at that and it says, "Cool, I'm just going to apply semver constraints on that." And so everything, in my case, because I'm using the date in the tag, it means that every single commit, every single tag I make in 2024 is going to be the next version according to the current constraint mechanism. And so I end up with prod getting updated to a tag that didn't want it updated to.
And from what you updated from 2.11 or what?
Yeah, so I only started noticing this in 2.12, and I believe this is due to the new 2.12 feature adding semver.
Yeah, I checked this pull request. just before the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's easier to reproduce and I can see that and confirmed. Yeah, I cannot promise, but I will try to check it.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Yeah, as I said, there's a PR link to this that kind of goes into some of the tests and some of the edge cases. One of the things that this fix will break is that if you pin to a tag that's 0.8.0, it will not resolve to a tag called v 0.8.0, but that seems pretty reasonable to me, as conflicting tags right now don't seem to be defined. So actually, if you pin to 0.8.0, I don't know how that would decide between 0.8.0 and v 0.8.0, but that seems to be the only issue.
understand. And last question. You say that you moved from 2.11, but Anand say that he can also reproduce it in 2.11. Have
So
you?
Anand is referring to an issue with lightweight tags versus annotated tags. It's a different issue that they're looking at.
I understand.
I think yeah, if, Anshin goes into it later and points out the difference in the later comment.
Okay, so probably here two different issues, yeah?
Yeah.
What is that? Okay.
But yeah, feel free
I,
to reach out to me on Slack or anything if you want me to
yeah, I
help
saw
with.
your message in Slack.
Just one comment, Paul. I mean, I think this is good, but I mean, we already have like two diverging implementations of Semver resolution. I mean, one for Helm and one for Git. There's going to be another one, so I'm kind of thinking like if there's a way we could just consolidate this so that this because it's yeah, I feel like we should just have one consolidated place for Semver resolution.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that seems pretty reasonable to me. But there's the reason I didn't jump for that immediately is that there's the way Git does it kind of assumes a bunch of plumbing references. But I can give a refactor a shot if you like.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be that we can just solve the immediate problem and then just look into it afterwards to try to,
Yeah,
just try to fix it once and for all or fix it properly for everything.
sounds good.
Like, do you want to take it to see if it's real regression, if it happens, and probably to see what we can do here in such case?
You asking me, Pavel?
I mean, do you want to take this item?
Yeah, I can take it. I can take it. Yeah,
Okay, so I
because I'm
will
also
assign it
looking.
to you. Okay.
I'm also looking this OCI, and I created another implementation for OCI, which is kind of pointless. I would prefer to not have to rebuild the wheel yet again. So yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, thank you. Let me know if you need any help. Let's move.
Thank you.
Sure, welcome. Well, I assume you also reported this one, or I just thought it's another one, right?
Oh, that's the link to the PR that fixes the bug I just.
It just applied. Okay, it's two items.
Yeah, it's one item on 2 lines. Sorry.
Yeah, just bad formatting from my side. Okay, question.
Hello.
Hey.
Internally at our company, we are moving from the DEX over to PKCE OIDC, so we can reduce the number of images we're running for vulnerability. And there was an issue with the PKCE authentication flow does not respect base path when it's configured. So on all of the flow paths, it didn't append whatever you set for the base href for the server. And then in testing this, I also, I work with Michael, but in testing this, we also found another issue, which is when the token expires, the current login page is hard coded to always go to the DEX authentication. It won't ever go to PKCE even if it's configured. So I made a PR to do all the fixes. I found a function in the requests library that was already being used elsewhere to append things to the or to get the base href and append a path to it. So that's the one that I used. I'm mostly on this meeting, one, to ask for reviews, and two, this is my first open source contribution to any project, and so I don't. I read the contribution docs. And I don't know what I don't know what I'm doing, but I've tested this. I've deployed it to a cluster, and it's working, and I have it up if you need to see it. But
Oh, it's really good pull request. I already can see it's pretty safe. Probably just only one thing that I would ask you. It's to add some video recording could be easier because reproduce such environment will take a lot of time. So probably if you can just attach the video where you show how it works and what was fixed, it would be nice.
okay, so do like a Zoom recording of
Yeah,
the
something. Yeah,
PKC offlow with like the dev tools in Chrome open to show the paths.
something like this, yes. To be able to see what was fixed.
Wasn't
Okay.
there a similar pull request I saw with Meyer?
Yeah, there's two. I guess he and I were working on the exact same thing, and we published it 17 hours apart. I tested his build, and it doesn't resolve the issue where if the token expires, it will still always go back to Dex.
I say, well, yeah,
I made a comment on that.
Mhm.
can maybe help to, yeah, well, maybe we can assign Meyer to that one as well, and then we can take a look at that issue.
I don't, yeah.
So have reproduced, run this PR and solve this issue. It would be probably also too nice to show to Marvin
Yeah,
to
exactly.
what is the issue. Like maybe it also do some small, not big, but small recording to exactly to show what is not working in his pull request, or like some details how to fix it for him. Yeah.
I mean, I can post. I'm okay. I
I mean,
mean, the both pull requests are for the same issue. I can post the thing about when the token expires, it doesn't. I mean, the code for in app.tsx at the very top of the code change at the top of the code changes in the PR, where it is waiting on the 401 thing. It only ever goes to the Dex path before the changes that I made.
I was thinking just of him to review it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go. I mean, yours. If your implementation will complete, then it makes more sense to go with yours. At least
Yeah,
take a look.
just attach video. If you find.
Just do the video of the full like login offlow as well as the when the token expires, show that it goes to the correct path to get PKCE. Because if you don't PKCE when the token expires, you get a challenge code failure from the OIDC provider because PKCE requires a challenge code, which Dex does not provide whenever it goes because Dex doesn't support PKCE.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll make a video of logging in and then as well when the token expires that re-authentication flow. I'll do that.
Yep, thank you.
And then do I just ping anybody or
You can tag Argo CD approvers. Yeah, and we all get notifications in GitHub.
all right, thank you. All right, yeah, and then I found another one while going through this PKCE offlow stuff. And that is the Dex authflow, because it has that proxy of Dex, you can actually cache the return URL as part of a query parameter. So it allows, so when a user's token expires, when SSO is configured to Dex, it'll go through the reauthentication flow through Dex, and then it'll return the user to whatever path they were at in the Argo CD UI. So if they were, in one of the applications looking at a manifest for, a deployment or something, when it reauthenticates, it will send them back to that path. But PKCE, because it doesn't have that, middleman, and the redirect URIs, it's that idea to wildcard paths. There's no way to preserve there isn't an existing way to preserve the user's location in the UI once the token goes to be refreshed. And so I was proposing caching the path that the user was at as a cookie, and then popping that off on the PKCE callback function to then redirect the user to where they were, to keep the same functionality between Dex SSO and PKCE SSO. Because as it stands right now, when PKCE tokens expire, with the fix that I did that allows it to reauthenticate to PKCE, it will always dump the user into /applications, because that is hard coded. That is a hard coded value that the window gets set to in the PKCE callback function.
Why it even would log out you? I mean, token will be expired, but shouldn't like some refresh token happens in such case?
There's no token refreshing. There's another issue open already for to implement refresh tokens in the web UI. It's issue number 8325.
It's pretty old, right? I understand.
January 31st, 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a really popular one because a lot of OIDC providers have super short refreshes, like 15 minutes. So people end up being logged out after 15 minutes a lot.
Yeah. And it's disruptive if we're moving to PKCE, because we have that 5-minute, 15-minute refresh window. So every 5 minutes or 15 minutes, a user, regardless of where they are in the app, gets sent all the way back to the /applications path. So wherever they were, that it blows away whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Maybe it would be better to put effort on refresh token, because in such case, I mean, it's definitely useful, and solution probably is even fine. I would research other capabilities, but from first glance, it looks reasonable.
I mean, refresh will also, I guess, solve the issue, and it means less code. So I think that may be the better thing to do, is just to do the refreshing.
Yeah.
Because then there's less code to break.
Yeah,
I intend to work on both of them. I intend to work on the refresh token thing as well. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay, and thank you. So if you need some help or review, just ping us. It will help.
Okay. But you said this one, do you want me to close
No,
it, or?
it's reasonable to fix, right? Because something still may happen that you will be logout happens. But maybe it's like lower in priority. So if you could fix refresh first, it would be nice.
Okay. I'll do that.
Thank you. Like, thank you next. Just open it. Yep. Like here. You on mute.
Oops. Yeah, so it was actually done by someone. Well, originally it was someone by the community, then Sudesh took over this. So what this adds is a timestamp for the health status. So on any kind of state changes that happens in an application health, a timestamp gets set. And then we also have this also adds an observe at field, which refreshes no more than once every 30 seconds to kind of verify the freshness of of the health status during syncs. I would just like to get some feedback from someone who has approval. Took a look at it, and it seems well tested. It looks pretty. I mean, there's some videos there showing how the status changes and how the field, both of these respective fields, gets updated, and it seems pretty small in my opinion. But it would be nice to get some other eyes on this.
So we create a new event handler with resync period. So every 30 seconds, we're basically requesting an app refresh.
Well, it's not a full. It would rather. It's empty app refresh. So it would toggle it's only to set the timestamp of the observed apps during the sync itself.
Yeah, so when I say app refresh, I don't mean like refresh the way we typically think of it as hitting the refresh button, but like refresh in terms of GitOps engine
Yeah.
where it has different levels, different
Yeah.
amounts of. I'm just curious, like what problem does the additional refresh solve? Do we think that there are going to be cases where we're just stuck and the health hasn't been updated for a long period of time? And is this the appropriate fix for that problem?
The second part is I would say it's up for debate. The first is basically, yes, to kind of mitigate, to kind of trust that what has been observed has been updated recently, so that in case of any, I don't know, shall we say, weirdness, or in case of it, so at least we can kind of verify that it's if the app health is in fact has in fact been updated in a recent period of time, basically.
Kind of a heartbeat. Okay.
Exactly that.
Also, I can see use cases that people want to see if their health status stuck.
And in fact, there is a certain
More than one.
GitOps promotion tool which would want this.
Yeah, because you want to make sure you're actually comparing to something that means something, or information about the health that's reasonably up to date.
Correct.
Only refresh the application resource tree. I don't really know the cost associated with that. I suppose it's the lowest cost of all the options of refreshes. Every 30 seconds across, say 10,000 applications seems like maybe non-trivial. So I do worry a little bit about that. Has this been tested like internally at Acuity and it's been demonstrated that we need that heartbeat for sure? Or is it just we're trying to get out ahead of a problem?
I would say the latter at this point. I can ask the cargo team if they want to give this a spin on their own behalf and verify somehow, because I guess what you're after is then having some kind of mega test with n thousand applications to verify if this would become a problem. But I could circle back to the cargo team about that.
Yeah, it does feel like the sort of thing that would be nice to do without if we can do without it. Because like next thing you know, some other feature now depends on having some heartbeat, and it's not something that we can remove, even if it ends up being a performance drag or logging drag or who knows what. It would be nice if we could try and see if we can get away without it.
Yeah, I mean, it was proposed by Sudesh to be able to toggle this, to toggle the interval of the refresh, so that I kind of said that maybe it's not worth it to do it now in this PR, but if it turns out that there is some need to kind of lengthen the interval or to shorten it, that there would be some way to set this as an MVAR in the future.
Yeah. Okay. I would just consider that. I'm not gonna like add a comment or anything. I wouldn't want to block this on that question. It's a relatively small thing, but something to consider. I would at least consider seeing if we can do without the heartbeat.
Okay. Get back to our guys about that.
Thank you. Reggie, any objections if we would discuss this issue before moving with the demo? Because I saw the comments that people really wanted to discuss it. I think it will be short. So I'm sorry.
Sorry, Pasha, ask again?
Yeah, any objections if you go with this issue first?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I added it. I wasn't sure how the process works. I just saw them piling up and I added a comment. So I can give a brief summary. So I opened this issue because in our setup, when we want to use the Argo CD CLI with SSO, it will try to create an HTTP server and then redirect it to localhost to finish the authorization process. And in our setup, we cannot do this. So what we want to implement is SSO over OAuth 2.0 device code authorization grant, which would mean that you get an URI displayed on your screen, you can copy it, open it from an external browser to finish the process. And from what I tested, everything was working fine.
I understand. Yeah, I can review it. I did changes here recently.
Yeah, so then today that there are some conflicts.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Okay. Everything ready and myself, I will review it together. So,
Thank you.
Sorry, can you please describe what would happen with the current behavior in this PR? Is this configurable?
we'll try open browser.
It's an. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I added here an extra flag which is called browserless so that you can perform SSO. If you just use the SSO flag, it will be the same behavior as before, nothing changed. If you use the browserless one, you will get a link on the screen instead of having an HTTP server started in the background and then being redirected to localhost to grant the permission. You would be printed with on the screen and then you can access it from somewhere else. But only if you use the extra flag.
Yeah, it's kind of Amazon Google Cloud login works. They print link and after trying to open browser, and if they cannot, they just ask you to copy this link into browser. Okay. Check it. Reggie, your stage.
Okay, thank you. So what I'm going to talk about is labeling of the issues at Argo CD GitHub repository. And the goal is to have the at least issues from the last year to have them categorized into components so that when we look at the overall issues, we are able to recognize the areas that are the most interesting for users, the areas that the most issues get opened in, etc. So first, with some stats, currently there are almost 700 issues that are labeled with component label in the repo. I'm talking about issues from the last year. And we have left almost 200 issues that are not labeled. And what I'm going to do next, I'm going to show you a demo of a little automation that I have written and that Pasha and Dan are collaborating with me on. And using this automation, we have labeled together, the three of us, we have labeled almost 350 issues in the last 2.5 weeks. And I want to show you basically how we do it. The solution is based on two things. It is based on OpenAI and on GitHub API. OpenAI is used here in order to receive suggestions about labels that may be relevant for an issue. So OpenAI suggests us the relevant labels. And then upon the suggestions, we are able to either accept or reject a suggestion. So I'm going to make a small demo to show you how it works. While it loads, I want to mention that using OpenAI is actually a great thing, but whatever it offers needs to be verified and cannot be accepted blindly, because there are things that are accurate and there are things that are less accurate. And so basically what you see here is something that we as humans either approve or reject and do not accept it automatically. Okay, so here we have a summary of the issue. Okay, this is one of the issues that were opened during last year and is currently not labeled with a component label. And
Regina?
Yeah.
Quick question. I'm missing the context of what exactly you executed. So let's say, is this a Go binary, is a CLI, or what is the tool that you're interacting with here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, basically this is a Go Golang program,
Okay.
and it has a nice UI that Dan has added. And basically, yeah, this is what it is.
I see. And it requires any type of configuration for this to run, or just executing the binary would already provide that to us? As you mentioned, OpenAI, I think it needs to connect somewhere, maybe
Yes,
with authentication.
Yeah, yes, of course. It requires authentication both to OpenAI and to GitHub API.
Okay.
And currently, it can
It's
also
just
be
passed with an environmental variable.
Yeah, they're just tokens. Yeah. It's nothing complex, and currently it can either run like for real, or it can just run in dry run mode.
Yeah, I would just comment that, sorry, we're not looking for automated totally, because as Regis said, it cannot be totally automated. It will be pretty big error rate that it will just mess up everything. So we just kind of help, but it's not a replacement for what we're doing today, just reducing the time of executing the work dramatically in such case.
Yes, exactly. So now I have received a random issue from the repo that is not labeled with a component label. And I am looking at the issue. Yes, I still need to, I need to read the issue and to understand what the context is. Okay. Still have to read it. So I see that we're talking about reconciling here and about sync. Okay, so basically now I understood more or less the context of this issue. Okay, we're talking about something that is reconciling too much. And now I can see the labels that are suggested by OpenAI. Okay, so there are a couple of labels here, and some of them are relevant and some of them not. We basically, yes, we are talking about the application controller, so I'm going to accept this suggestion. Whether this is related to Helm, I don't feel from the description that this is something that is really special to Helm. So I'm not going to accept this suggestion at the moment. And Kubernetes doesn't really, it's too generic. So I will not accept the Kubernetes labeling either in this case. And we're talking about a thing here, so I'm going to accept this suggestion. And now what is happening is that using the GitHub API in the background, the issue was labeled. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so you see that the two labels that I have accepted are now basically applied, and this was done using the GitHub API. And what this tool allows us, it allows us to work more efficiently because we don't have to click in the UI at each issue. And also the OpenAI suggestions are making our lives easier because we have at least partial context that is correct. And if OpenAI is wrong, then no harm done. We are just not accepting those suggestions. So currently, this is how me, Pasha, and lately Dan are categorizing those issues. And the stats I showed you earlier basically are saying that there are not that many issues left, and this gap can be closed in the next week or two. I think that's it for the demo. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I don't remember.
Question. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask as a trying contributor, I would say, if I was to open an issue in the future, should I label it myself, or this is something only people with certain privileges can do, and it's up to the maintainers to decide which labels they should choose?
No, you can label. If you know what to label, I mean, if you're confident in the labels, you can add them. Here, no special privileges.
Yeah, I think we would prefer people always just label their issues with things appropriately, but very often people don't. So, usually they get bug or enhancement, and beyond that, then it's less clear. And the goal here that we set out with was that we wanted to have very clear visibility into which areas of Argo CD need the most attention. And, we've got 3,000 issues. And so going through all those is difficult, and having all of that stored in your brain is difficult. And so this is allowing us to very, very rapidly label things. Now, the success rate that Reggie just demoed there is about, I think, 20 to 30% of the suggestions are good. So we'll probably work on improving this. I don't think we'll want to put a bot on this until we get it to like 95% or better. But I've noticed that when I use it, it's very helpful for me to run through many issues at a time just to get them categorized. And then later, when I'm looking at an issue and I'm trying to find issues, I can very rapidly just click on the label and see, oh yeah, okay, there were 3 issues like this for application sets that I was noticing, and I can go and merge those, or maybe they just need to be referenced to one another or whatever, so that we have better clarity. And then as we go into planning, and we're talking about where we want to spend our time and which issues are the most important, we can actually start to group these things up and have a better idea of what the roadmap should look like for Argo CD.
And I also want to mention that basically this thing has already improved from what it started, because now when I see the suggestions that it has, and when I recognize the suggestions that are too generic, then I am actually able to refine the prompt, and the results can get better from that point of view. And there are also options of adding other things. I mean, for example, using that, we can also categorize it, like whether it's a bug or it's a regression or many other things. So I think that this has potential for growing further and helping more.
Yeah. And just for finalize, we want to, like, the whole idea is that we want to create only component labels. So if we create something new, we should create component labels, because today we have dedicated labels for upset and so on. So the whole idea that we like structure them properly, but it's wider topic. We will discuss it after.
Cool. Where can I have access to this
Spade.
project? Is this in Argo Proj Labs somewhere?
Spade.
So sorry.
It's not there yet. It's
Okay.
not. I think we wanna make it a little more. How can I say it? Matching the open source world, and then we will open it.
Yeah,
You know,
just-
like factor the code and stuff like that.
yeah. We will definitely publish it somewhere soon.
Yeah. This is
And
the
I guess
goal.
the idea is for us maintainers to use this tool to help tagging the issues, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
If
thanks
you
for working on that.
we can consider to add you earlier. We just didn't want to make it public before. So if you want to try, we can add you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Reggie. I think we already past 3 minutes, so thanks everyone for attending today. It was a good meeting. See you next week.
See ya.